Hello everyone, I'm Nola and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. If you're a new subscriber, thank you. I appreciate you more than I can tell you. And if you've just popped in, I hope you'll stay a while. Today I want to speak on the topic on why books matter. And I can still go back there in an instant. Durban, South Africa. 17 years old, tight jeans, an afro, whatever shoes were in back then. Maybe those guru sandals, right? Maybe the Whoppers, or perhaps even Adidas. Standing in the hot sun on those broad marble stairs, waiting to get through the line and through the doors. The line moving forward one person at a time until it was my turn to stand in front of the librarian. That's why I'm calling this video, Why Books Matter. But my love of books didn't begin on those library steps. It began at home. My mother was a magnificent storyteller. At night, she would use her hands to make shadow puppets on the wall. There would be rabbits and birds, and she would tell stories that felt larger than the room we were in. And every birthday, every holiday, we were given books, either from CNA, Central News Agency, for those of you who remember, or from a bookstore on West Street called Adams and Griggs. Am I the only one that remembers that? My father required us to read the newspaper every day. It was delivered by 4 o'clock in the afternoon by one of my classmates. By the time my father came home from work, we had to tell him what we had read, even though so much of the news was blacked out in those days. We still had to pay attention. And I had a girlfriend that I played with all the time, whose father was math-driven. He'd come through the door and she would have to recite her times table, and God help her if she didn't know. When he came in the door, and if I happened to be there, I would scat. I'd go down those back stairs and run across her yard home. And I didn't know what boredom was as a child. Even when I had a long list of chores, I also had a long list of books to read, and sometimes I would escape under the bed with the flashlight. And you remember the old coil mattresses? My hair would get caught in there, and that's how my mom would know where I was. I was often reading under the blankets with the flashlight because at a certain time the lights would have to go out. And growing up during the Apartheid era, my physical world had limits, but my reading life did not. Through books, I traveled far beyond my immediate environment in Durban, and I lived in a suburb, a colored suburb outside of Durban called Wentworth. And then somehow, I guess when I went to college, I learned about the American Consulate Library. Oh my gosh. There were books there that I didn't have access to elsewhere. Books that were difficult to find, sometimes books that were banned. I remember sitting near the windows and looking out over the Durban Harbor or Durban Bay while reading ideas and stories that stretched far beyond the world I physically lived in. The library opened something in me. It showed me there was more thought, more possibility, more ways to live. And let me not forget Mrs. Dunn, who basically ran the Wentworth Library with a group of ladies that were just wonderful to us. Those are some sweet memories. I wonder if there are any of you out there that remember that. And often at school, there would be book sales, and we'd be given money to buy books at school. And we read a lot back then. And my reading, I was reading different lives, different cultures, different struggles, which made me really curious. It also made me open. It made me less afraid of what was different. And through books, I've lived many lives in addition to my own. Do you have any favorite books that feel like old friends that you go back to and you read over and over again? Perhaps a book that's helped to shape your life or the way that you think or the way that you process stuff? Because I have to say, I was basically raised by books. Even now, when I land in a new city, I don't run to monuments first. I know I'm a little strange. I run to the library, whether it is in Paris or England, or I've been fortunate, I've traveled to many places, Budapest, wherever it is, because the libraries are so magnificent. There's a reverence about them, the smell of old books, some of the magnificent architecture. And that takes me back to one of my favorite libraries in America. You know, New York has got a fantastic library. There are many wonderful libraries across America, but one of my favorites is the Clearwater Library in Clearwater, Florida. And they are sacred places to me. The quietness, the reverence, the hushed speaking, books as far as the eye can see. And what disturbed me most when I first got to America 40 something years ago was I'd go to the library and I would find books that I longed for that had never been borrowed, not once. They'd never been taken out of the library. And that just blew my mind. And I suppose that's how a girl who stood on library steps in Durban becomes someone who writes her own story. And this, beloved, is my contribution to the shelves I once stood in front of, and shelves that I continue to stand in front of between two lives. It tells the story of migration and how I became the person that I am today. Not perfect, but always learning. And I'd love to ask you something. Where do you go when the world is loud? What is your safe place? Is it music? Is it nature? Is it shower in your bed, in your pajamas, after a hard day? Is it in your vehicle? Or is it a craft table? Or a book? For me, it has always been books. And if you're interested in reading my story, the link to my book is below. And I will ask you to please like, share, and subscribe if you feel led. Be kind to yourself. Eat properly. Stay hydrated. Spend time in nature. And be kind to those you meet along the way, because every one of us is dealing with something that nobody else can see. Until the next time, do take care of yourself, and bye for now.